Hey, and welcome to today's episode. I'm very excited about today's show, Second Chances. It's the eighth episode, and I can't believe we've been running this long. Today, we have a very special guest, Dave Crane, who should be joining us any second now. But in the meanwhile, I want to introduce myself. I'm your host. My name is Dr. Hanan Salim. I'm an international speaker. I'm the author of Second Chances. I'm also recognized by the World Health and Wellness Gurus as the most influential thought leader in health and well-being. And I want to explain why I actually launched this show called Second Chances. First of all, it's after my book, Second Chances. And I believe that everybody deserves a second chance, and you're able to focus on that which will allow you into having second chances. So I actually created the map in my book on how the things you can start thinking about, food for thought. And it was all through actually my experience, my journey. And as I was thinking, I was like, okay, we could bring the show and bring other experts as well. They could give you hands-on information and experience through their knowledge, and maybe like some food for thought that you could probably not find it in some books or online or Google or anything like that. So this show is pretty much about bringing on the experts, bringing on their own experience, their knowledge and know-how that you could take away and leverage. Okay, so I want to introduce Dave. I mean, Dave is an amazing person. I mean, we've been, back and forth online. We've been really trying to catch up for quite a bit now, but we keep missing each other. But then, of course, when it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And finally, we have him on the show today. But you still owe me coffee, Dave. So you're not. Not yet. Okay, so I want to introduce Dave, and Dave is an active international public speaking circuit. He's hosting awards. He's done a lot of private functions. He's also, of course, an amazing keynote speaker in many engagements. You could check him out on LinkedIn. He's an amazing speaker. He's done industry expos, corporate seminars on a variety of business topics. He is also, throughout his career, Dave has worked with some of the big giants of entertainment, such as Bruce Willis, James Brown, Sylvester Stallone. I love Sylvester Stallone. You got to introduce me. Okay, now you got to hook me up. Robert Plant, Enrique Iglesias, Sting, all my favorite, influencers, and of course, Kanye West. His events has broadcast live to over 2 billion people and performed to audiences of over 50,000 people in the stadium. Awesome. His vast entertainment and media experience and connections enable him to play an integral role in facilitating some of the MENA region's flagship sporting and entertainment events, such as Emirates Airlines, rugby. The list goes on and on. Speed car series. This guy's, you're not going to tell us his age, right? So we'll talk in private. Dave is also an NLP master practitioner. He's a certified hypnotherapist, stage hypnotist, speaker coach, trainer in persuasion, sales teams, cohesiveness, leadership development. He's a prolific author, He's an influential blogger and has an online daily show about public speaking on LinkedIn. He has presented, again, keynote and motivational seminars at the most prestigious events across the globe, including recently NASA and TEDx. Amazing. I didn't know about that. We're going to talk about that. He's changed thousands of lives and now going to change yours. So this is the show. This is the kind of level that I want to bring, to our audiences, for people to have a lot of value and take away with hands-on experiences through experts. So without further ado, Dave Crane.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. Now, here's the challenge, right? Something's about to happen, I believe, and I may well swap over from my phone to my proper screen, which is on my laptop, which I was restarting it while we were speaking. So you may have an option in front of you having two versions of me. If you choose the other one, then that might be better. But meanwhile, let's just see how we get on. You know, when you described me there, I was thinking, whoever that person is sounds amazing. Can't be me. So it was nice to hear. So thank you.
I hope I did it justice.
Well, to be honest with you, the thing about my career, and I think it's true for anybody who's a speaker, is ultimately it doesn't matter what I've done. It doesn't matter who I am. Nobody cares. The only thing that matters is what I can do for them.
Absolutely.
So that's the most important thing. Now, I've got a chance to be swapping over cameras here. Have you got the option of putting a different one on?
Yes, I do. There you go.
Yes, I do. If you swap them over, there we go. There we go. Fantastic.
All right.
Fantastic. There we go. That's exactly how we should be. And we didn't even miss a beat. We just went live straight away. And here I am in the show. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. It was awesome having. Okay? Yes, I hear you fine. It was awesome having two of you on the show. When does that happen?
I wouldn't wish that on anybody. That's crazy. But it's a great pleasure to be here. It's been mad because what's happened since we've been in lockdown, ultimately, so many things have altered. So, for instance, my laptop used to be something I would just do presentations from. Now my laptop has become the most important thing in my life, apart from my family. And ultimately, what happens with that is my cars outside never get used. I very rarely take them unless it's to the corner shop to go and get. So I'm paying all this money for cars, and I haven't even filled petrol in them for 4 months. I've not had to do anything. And so my laptop, I've had boosted up. So if you think about those movies, Fast and the Furious, and how they make those muscle cars, I've got a muscle laptop. And it does everything for me, but it just has a temperamental freeze before I go live. So that's why I had to swap from mobile phone to live and hopefully still broadcasting. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure having you. I'm very excited. I've been looking forward to today because I mean you're amazing, and I've seen your work, and I love your energy, your spirit, and your message really. And just to start off, I have my first question, and is how I teach in halology, right? One of the something called chronic biodisruptors. And the leading biodisruptor, and what that means is that those challenges that compound and that leads to ill health, not feeling well, well-being being, taking a back seat and everything. And you speak a lot about being emotionally bulletproof, right? And that's my first question.
I have to apologize. I've just lost the sound there. It just disappeared because I swapped over to my earbuds and it didn't do it. Could you please repeat that last sentence for me? I thought I was going to be clever and be able to do it more effectively. So
no worries. So I was mentioning that I speak about something called chronic biodisruptors. And one of the things that I speak about as being chronic biodisruptors is that it actually affects you physically, on leading you to havoc in your health and your well-being. And one of the major things that I speak about is something called emotional drivers. And one of the things you speak about is how important it is to become emotionally, I quote, bulletproof. So why don't we start out with that? So during this, obviously COVID-19.
I'm sorry. Look, give me 2 seconds to put headphones on. I haven't heard anything.
Sure.
I knew it was too good to be true. Let me just swap over to my headset. You wouldn't think I was doing a live show every day, would you?
No, I love your, just taking that. Yeah, you hear me now?
Right, we should be able to hear each other.
I hear you perfectly.
I can hear you. I can hear a sound coming through. I've just tested it.
Okay.
Say something and I'll check.
Hello, Dave. Welcome to Second Chances Show. We're excited to have you today. Is that good?
No, I've lost the sound.
Oh,
Let me tell you something while I'm just discovering this. I know it's what a pain. This is truly turning out to be. I thought we were winning then. and the sound
Yeah.
disappeared. Let me try something. I mean, what I'm going to suggest is, because we talked earlier, and
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my headphones now to actually kick in as the system says it will. Um, what you can clearly hear me, and
Yeah.
so what I suggest is we have our private chat. If you drop a question into there and I can answer it, then we can go back to old school broadcasting. So I will look now. If you drop it into the private chat, I can answer the question and still work on trying to get this microphone to work properly.
All right. So bulletproof. All right. Do you hear me? You see it? Maybe I could put it on the screen.
Emotional bulletproof. Got you. So, emotional bulletproof is basically the ability to make sure that whatever happens around you, you can deal with. Now, let me put this to some kind of perspective. Right now, the second pandemic is clearly going to be people's follow on from what they're going through right now. So being stuck inside, worrying about your life, worrying about your finances, worrying about your rent, worrying about the relationships you have with other people. There's also the knock-on effect that many people didn't get to say goodbye to their loved ones, because if they're in quarantine, you can't actually say goodbye. You just get a phone call from hospital. And the experts say that we're looking at somewhere between 4 to 5 years before we see the last of COVID, not the 12 to 18 months. Now, what that means is ultimately whatever we're experiencing and going through right now is not going to go away. This is actually closer to the life that we're going to have. Okay, we'll work out some stuff and we'll get a vaccine, but there's also the fact it can mutate and you can catch other versions of it as it goes. So being emotionally bulletproof is the ability to not say that you don't get hit by things, but your recovery rate is faster. Because the most important thing about emotional intelligence is not to say, la, 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 I don't hear anything, I don't feel anything, I'm not bothered about any of that. It's about being able to turn around regardless and say, right, okay, I acknowledge it, I understand it, it is a big challenge for me, but what I will be able to do with it is move forward, because I know that the consequences would be this, this, and this. And if I feel angry, I'll be angry, get it out of my system, and channel that energy to move forward. Now, emotional intelligence and empathy, for me, has been the most important part of any decision maker who is leading a team or any individual during this crisis. And I think you can see that because right now, there's a number of countries that recovered faster than others. And the ones that recovered fastest were the ones that turned around and said, guys, we've got a problem. It's a problem for the whole country. There are some ways of dealing with it, and they're going to hurt. But if we do it right, together we'll get out the other side. There was no denial. There was just a very simple thing that we will do it properly. And the leaders jumped straight into it. My favorite one is Jacinda Ardern from New Zealand, who basically turned around and locked everything down. And she's an incredible human being who everyone sees as either their big sister or their mum. And I think that when the females were in charge of countries, by percentage, they came out better in the way that they led their country out of this crisis than the males. Now, that's a bit of a sweeping statement, but I think that that ability to be emotionally in connection to your team and to understand what the consequences are and to show empathy rather than selling people some idea is the way to move forward. So emotionally bulletproof is really about your ability to gauge who you are, what's going on, what's the bigger picture, and what version of me can we go through to be able to get to the other side. Now, for many people, the biggest challenge for that is going to be that you are going to have more mental health problems than everybody is going to. So right now, being stuck in lockdown or even going out and finding the challenges that go with that, I take days when sometimes I go, I'm not liking this. And rather than going and taking it out on anybody, or rather than pushing through and my brain is empty and I can't get any work, what I choose to do is I say, okay, time out. Time out. You're not any good to anybody. You can meditate if you want to, watch some Netflix, have a cup of tea and eat biscuits, do whatever you want, recharge your batteries. And when you're ready, come back out to play. Until then, don't bother. And I think that these are things that people will have to consider. Now, the worst bit is emotional and mental health has been ignored by most of the world because they see it as a sign of weakness. That has to be seriously addressed by everybody. If they don't do so, what you're going to end up is a situation where the amount that we're going to be paying financially and to every organization and emotionally for not looking after this second pandemic is going to be brutal, and it's going to go on for many years. In fact, every generation relating to it, whether you're older and you're worried about talking to human beings, or you're younger and you're wondering why you're suddenly locked in the house and you can't see your friends, or you're in a middle position where you're kind of thinking, I can do this, but you realize you still have to hold on to a job, and you watch the news and the whole thing is exploding around you, it's going to have a knock-on effect. So that's what we really need to be able to help people to do. No, I still can't hear you, so I'm going to be looking to see whatever you type in to be able to answer that. So my apologies again. These headphones are not doing anything apart from making me look like I've joined the Mickey Mouse fan club. So I'll take them off anyway and put them over there. And hopefully at some point, the promise of being able to hear you properly through this system will actually work. And there we go. Let's see. Anyway, as we were.
So this leads me to my next question, and that is
how am I reinventing myself? This is fantastic. This is actually like me doing a solo show. I know it's your show. It sounds bizarre to do it like that, but how am I reinventing myself? Well, here's the thing. I've always reinvented myself. Always. I've always been in a process, and people said to me when I used to work on radio, and for those of you who are very old and you've been in Dubai for a very long time, or wherever you are around the world, I used to be on radio all the time. And I stepped away, I left, and people said, why would you leave? You leave behind all the opportunities of being in broadcasting, all the freebies, all the gigs and everything. But it just didn't work for me. I felt that everything I was doing wasn't the right version of me. So I'm very used to just saying, I've had enough of this. I'm going to do something completely different, and testing to see exactly how it is that I reinvent myself. So when it came down to lockdown, most people are going, oh my goodness, how do I deal with this? What I did was I went, right, I teach people to speak, and I speak on international stages. I literally had just come back from doing an event in India, and I'd lined up to do a big event in the Maldives, and it was all the plans are in place. And I realized the biggest challenge is going to be, first of all, how do I feed my family when nothing's coming in? Zero. And it wasn't going to not come in for a while. The summer's usually like that anyway, but this had no necessary knowledge about when it was going to actually end. There's no indicators about it. So what I did was every day, and I have done for 4 months, I basically started digitizing my business. I created Speak on Stage, which is a website for people who want to learn to speak, and they can do it remotely from anywhere all around the world. And at the same time, I started learning about virtual broadcasting. Because virtual broadcasting, which is what you're doing an amazing job of with your fantastic Second Chances shows, is about the ability to speak. But the difference is you're actually doing it as a TV presenter, not as a live on stage engager, which is a completely different set of rules. Because if you're doing it on stage, you naturally feel from the audience what's working, what's not. When you're broadcasting like this, you have to anticipate and talk to somebody in mind who would be your target audience, your target person, and interpret how it's working with them. So with that, one of the things that I did, and I should know better when it comes to doing a broadcast, but this is showbiz, is my dear friend and I, Ernesto Verdugo, who's based in Houston, Texas. We've been friends for many, many years. And we said, right, we're going to create a web TV show, and we're going to do it to help people. We've got no idea what content's going to be. We've got no idea where it's going to go, but let's do it. And we'll make a promise to the world that anybody who joins us will carry on broadcasting until the lockdown is over. So we did 50 days on the trot for an hour every single day. And it gathered speed. We went from 2 people watching, which was myself and Ernesto, to going towards having best part of 1,000 watching every day. And then we get, another 3,000 to 4,000 watching on social media. So every show we do, we get about 5,000 people paying attention. Tonight's one of those shows. And by the end of the 50th episode, when we called it end of the first season to take a break, Dubai had already come out of lockdown. Texas had as well. So we'd done our job. But on the show, we had sheikhs, we had top authors, we had people like John Mattone, who's Steve Jobs' coach. We had so many big stars. And the reason it took off so well is because it was ahead of a curve, reinventing to find where we need to go next, as opposed to doing what most people tend to do, which is going, right, okay, I'll just wait for somebody to rescue me. We didn't think like that, and we never have. And I think that this time that we're in right now is so important that people don't think the way that they used to think. They don't think about the fact that, you know what, we'll be okay, because you won't be okay unless you start thinking about yourself. And it doesn't mean being selfish, but you do have to be a little bit selfish. You have to think about, how am I going to be able to do this? How am I going to be able to move forward and still be relevant? Because right now, I was hearing from a dear friend of mine about one of the big problems of their company. It's a big events company. They just laid half the staff off. Why? Because there's no events for the foreseeable future live. You can do virtual events. Well, I mean, I was on a big virtual broadcast yesterday where I was in a strange internet world. It was like being a Lara Croft character in Tomb Raider. And I could see through my screen, my little character, I could move around with my keyboard. And I was able to talk to lots of other people's characters in a huge auditorium. And literally, I could move around, I could talk to them, they could raise their hands, I could ask questions. I couldn't hear them speak, which is a bit like what I've got my setup now because I pressed the wrong button on my laptop. But that is the future. Now, right now, you've got a ton of people all around the world, broadcasters and speakers, who are just, and movie stars and actors and musicians going, there are no gigs. How am I going to do this? Well, you've got to dig deep. You've got to find out where things are going. So in my case, what I've been doing is I've just been looking at where things are. I've been setting up relationships with people, and I'm busy. I'm literally going to be doing my show tonight, and hopefully I'll get it right for that. And I've got more broadcasts over the next couple of days. I've got people booking me to do events, and they're not unpaid; they're paid events. Now, why is that happening to me? And why is it that people are going, let's move with Dave? It's not because I'm special, because nobody cares who I am. It's because I've worked out what people need. And the most important thing about reinventing yourself in a commercial way is working out what do other people want from me? What can I give them? Because if you give them what you want, they might not want it. If you give them what they want, then they turn around and go, oh, okay, that's perfect. So with every single person, I would suggest that the biggest challenge right now is to find out how what you do right now can go digital. Also, to consider what people would want from you. Now, if you've got a nuts and bolts, bricks and mortar type business, the challenge is always going to be that people aren't going to visit your premises. So maybe what you need to do is take a step back and say, well, what skills have I got apart from that? I can market, I can work a video camera, I can connect with people. In fact, I've got a whole lot of connections on LinkedIn and Facebook. Maybe I can be a service to somebody else. I can teach them how to do stuff. And so I realized that the big problem is that people haven't been thinking like that. Most people have a job, stick with a job, and don't think about where this is going to go. Right now, if you want to be successful, if you want to even just survive, I think you need to think differently about that. So that would be my simple answer about reinvention. Thinking about people want, thinking about the best version of you. But one thing I'll add before I jump into the next question is that there's a thing called a hedgehog concept. And the hedgehog concept was put together by a guy called Jim Collins, and I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I use it all the time for reinventing. And there's 3 circles. Imagine a circle here, a circle here, and a circle here. First one, and they all interconnect. Now, the reason I'll tell you about the circles in a moment. The reason it's called a hedgehog concept is a hedgehog is a very boring creature in the UK and many other places, like a porcupine, and it just lives in the garden. I don't know what it eats, burgers, don't know, but what nature has given it is the ability, if it's in danger, it curls up into a ball with its spikes on the outside, and nothing can get at it. No natural predator can get anywhere near it. So you have to find what is your natural hedgehog. So let's get back to these circles. One there, and one there. Now, the first circle is, what are you conceivably the best in the world at doing? What could you do so well that you can turn around and say, leave it to me, I'll take care of that. Now, you might have to look through your job descriptions, your CVs, look through the different tasks you had, but the one thing where you say, that's what I'm really good at. The second circle is, what do you love to do? What's your passion that you could do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never get bored, and you still find enthusiasm for it? And the third thing is this: what will people pay for? Not what do you want to give the world, but what does the world want, and they will monetize. When you've got those circles interlocking in the center is your hedgehog. That's where you start. And you might have a number of different hedgehogs, but then you work out what is going to be working. What's the lowest hanging fruit in the garden that I can grab now that financially people will start paying me, and I can just scale it to do more of it with my time, and then maybe get other people around the world to work with me. Because right now, there's people on the internet who have no job, who are super skilled, who would do anything to be able to work with you. So work with them. It's much easier.
This is amazing. We're having a
So
lot of.
next question.
I
I
don't know.
still can't hear you, but I'm reading from here.
I don't know if I'll even have.
It's a bit. Sorry, it's a bit like a monologue show. I feel like I'm guilty. I think like I'm in court and I've been naughty. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll say nothing. You say something, and then I'll answer that question.
Okay. So we're getting a lot of hits right now. A lot of people are coming on. A lot of amazing questions. So what I'll do is I'll ask my question and then alternate with the audience's question. So Dave, we have a question here from Noha, who's a wonderful young lady. She's also a dear friend of mine. She's amazing. And we'll go with her question. Wait. We'll go with her question first, and then we'll go to my question, and then we'll do this alternating back and forth. I mean, I have a whole lot of questions for you, but we want to also make the audience happy as well. So you see this one? Yeah, this one.
So I will answer this question here. How to find out what people want with a fresh, new, and raw concept. Okay, here's the thing. Success leaves clues. If you watch the news, then it's going to depress you. But if you watch the news and see what things are happening to people, it will also give you a clue as to what people want. Now, the thing is, does the world want a jetpack that you can strap on and fly to the shops? Probably it'd be really cool, but nobody really wants it. So if you invent it, you're probably wasting your time. What you have to think about instead is, what do people actually physically and spiritually want? And so I would Google first. I would also spend a lot of time watching amazing shows like this one and listen to the guests who are sharing incredible tips about what's happening out there. Because the difficulty is that if you're in lockdown, and mine is self-inflicted, I wanted to stay in lockdown because I'm not convinced that if I go walk about, that I'm going to be safe, because there is no vaccine, just to be honest. So mine's choice. But if you were to talk to people, what is the biggest challenge they have? Part of it is doing their CVs. There's an easy one. Getting a new job, upgrading. Things like the kids are at home, now going into summer holidays, bored, stupid. How can you help them without them spending all their time on the iPad or on the computer? What can they do? If you've been in lockdown, you might be worried about the fact that you're putting on weight and you're not eating properly and you're not doing any exercise. So how can you help people with that? And the challenge for many of the fitness videos that are free or paid for is they all seem to be run by people who look like the Avengers, and they're not really geared for people who are kind of a bit fat, who are just starting for the first time. And so you really need to have some kind of help with that. So I would think about, what do people want? Now, what the key thing is to think about your hedgehog. What skills do you have? What do you love? And what can you help people with? Then you also have to marry it up with the avatar of the person who you want to reach. So, for instance, I train people to be great public speakers. Normally, I do it with the very highest level. I work with politicians, ambassadors, broadcasters, CEOs, and so on, celebrities. You might think that whoever your audience is, that might be a certain type of person. I never say I work with everyone, because everyone means you can't really break it down to who you truly need. If you break it down to, say, I work with women who are age 35 to 55, stuck in their home, have a job, have kids, and now have to work from home. Their husband is also doing a similar thing, or they might be single, and I know that they've got a number of stress issues that they have, and I work towards that. So supposing my job as a life coach, and that's my specific audience, then I think about, which country are they in? It doesn't really matter which country, but there was a lot of different things. Now, we're blessed being based in Dubai, in that you've got all nationalities, all spiritual beliefs, you've got all sorts of different types of color of skin, all sorts. So you have got used to creating a multi platform product that lots of people can have. But if you're in a country that doesn't have that and you've just got one kind of population, then you might think that everybody's the same as you. Now, this is a big challenge for many people because now we can broadcast it and reach anybody in the world. Why just think about your locality? Locality means nothing right now. So think about who would want your stuff and where are they? And really write down who those key characters are. What are the things that make them so special? So when you write content and you create things and you work to connect with people, you'll know who it is you're talking to. So there's a number of different things that go into that. I mean, we'll be talking about it on the Toilet Paper Diaries, which is coming from my Facebook, and that's the key area that we do. We called it the Toilet Paper Diaries because it was funny at the time. Now it's kind of like an albatross around our neck because it won't go away. But it's kind of a cool concept, so that's why we kept with it. Do you want to fire me another question on the bit below, and I'll jump in? You say your stuff first.
Okay, so there's a part 2 to the question for Noha. So we'll go with that. Yeah, so this is part 2.
Okay, here's what I would suggest. So the question is how to choose and select which way to go if you have many diverse passions when reinventing. If you've done the hedgehog right, you'll have worked out what you're good at. Sorry, what you're the best at. You're not the best in the world, but what your biggest skills are, what you're passionate about, and then what people will pay for. So that's already kind of dealt with this. Then you look for what I call the lowest hanging fruit in the garden. There might be, you've got a number of different skills. And so like when we went through my CV earlier, and Dr. Salim was talking about Dave's done this and Dave's done that and Dave's done that and so on. I do a lot of different things. But I have also stopped certain things because they're not the most effective. So, for instance, I'm a life coach. I'm a life coach and a hypnotherapist. Now, there's a key to this because I'm going to share with you now the formula for being paid. Now, the question is, what is the formula for why people pay you a certain wage? Why do you get paid what you get paid when you're working? And I realize that this is going to be a hypothetical question because I can't hear anything from anybody, but I can read when people type. So why do you get paid more than somebody who's working in a coffee shop? And why does somebody who's a CEO of a company get paid more than you? Why do celebrities get paid what they get paid, and so on? Here's the thing. You get paid for the effects of a job you do. And secondly, you get paid for how cheaply they can replace you with somebody else. So your trick, your objective is to deliver and over-deliver great value, but also muscle in on it because nobody can do what you do. When you've got that, you can charge what you want because nobody else can say, I can do the same because they clearly can't do the same. So if you're general, and I don't mean any disrespect to people who work in coffee shops, but you've often gone to a coffee shop where they've got an incredible waiter or waitress who recognize you. Dr. Hanan, you've just come in, nice to see you. And they sit you down and say, would you like the usual? And you go, yes, fantastic. And so you get the usual coffee, you sit down there, and you're in a usual seat looking out in the world, and it's great. But that waiter or waitress will get a tip from you, but one day you go back and you find that they've gone. They've been let go, or they decided to change their career or something. And they've replaced them with somebody who doesn't know, doesn't care. Now, why is that? Because the waitress gets paid a certain wage. That wage doesn't increase if you're brilliant at it. It means you can be replaced by a rubbish waitress. Now, here's the thing. When you're deciding what it is that you're going to do, you really have to work out what can you do that you can protect yourself from people coming behind you and stealing your business. Now, that sounds aggressive, but it's the truth. I found that when I worked in radio, I was in radio for about 15, 20 years. It was a horrible business to be in. People all the time trying to stab each other in the back. I'm better than they are. My show's better than their show. I couldn't deal with that every day. So I walked away, and people said it's a crazy thing to do, but it was the right thing to do. So I hope that answers the question about choosing what it is that you should be doing first.
Yeah, a lot of people are. Like yeah, a lot of people are looking into.
I'm going quiet again.
We should do a. This is really amazing.
Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Okay, so a lot of people are thinking, like, because of them letting go, a lot of people got let go.
How to create a new business post lockdown. Yeah. You speak, give me a thumbs up, and I'll talk after.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. It's okay. You're the guest, so you do all the talking. Yes. I can't hear you, Dave.
Good to go.
All right. Yes. Go ahead. I can hear you now. Yes. Go ahead. Technology.
Thank you. You know, the problem is not only have we got the hearing problem, there's a slight delay in me reading your lips. So I'm not sure whether you've stopped speaking or not when I start speaking. So the thumbs up is a perfect way to be able to do it. I still can't hear anything. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. In that case, I'll just edit so people think we got it perfectly right. So how to create a new business post-lockdown? Right, I would first of all think about digital. It's the smartest way to be able to get something to work because you now have access to the entire internet. You now have access to everything. And it's also probably your only choice because if you go out, you run a risk. You're laughing at me now. Have I said something wrong? Am I okay? Should I continue? Is that thumbs up? I'll continue. Okay. So you run a risk of going out because there is no vaccine. And there's a very good chance that we'll end up with a second wave and a third wave at the end of it. So I would think about what is it that I can do with my skill set? Now, the fastest, easiest way to do it is to provide a service for people. Let me give an example about a really smart way of doing it. So you can't hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. I can hear you. I was
going to talk about, do you know about Airbnb? Airbnb, who are a well-known company who basically disrupted the hotel industry by giving people the option of staying in people's apartments or their flats and renting it for a day or a couple of weeks. They realized that the big challenge for them is that nobody's going to be able to travel. And so, first of all, what we did was they created the ability to stay for another 2 weeks in lockdown at the property where they're staying. So, do you want me to stop talking? You're just about to say something now. Just checking.
No.
Thumbs up is okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so with Airbnb, they decided because they couldn't do anything apart from extend people staying, but then the airlines weren't going to let people travel, what they were going to do was create something different with the existing stuff that they had. So let me explain that. They're a switchboard model, which means you've got a switchboard that says we need this to go with them over there, and we need this to go with these guys over here, and that's how they had it all set up. Have we just lost you? I see you shake. We're good. Okay. So that's how they had it all set up to be able to help people to live in other people's properties. But then they realized that if they can't make people stay in other people's properties, what they can do is they can create experiences for people. So what they said is, who's got an experience that people around the world would want to pay for? And so if you look at what Airbnb does now, they've got incredible experiences. So if you want to learn to make pizzas with an Italian chef, you can pay $35 and there'll be an Italian chef who will make for you a pizza on Zoom with the sound working, unlike what I've got set up here, and they'll show you that. If you want to go around Chernobyl looking at all the dogs that are wandering around, somebody will go out there in their car with a Zoom on their phone, and they'll go for 20 minutes and show you and describe it. If you want to go around Kenya and go around a safari park, somebody will do that. So, and people will play songs also. So they reinvented their entire business based on the ability to broadcast relationships with people. So a lot of the time it's disrupting what's going on in the world. Think about what's missing and what you could do. But a lot of the time it's thinking what people would want. Now, as for the logistics of it, it's very simple. You need to make people happy. They need to give you money and you need to take it. That's it. That's what business is. You can turn around and make people happy and not do it for money, but then you're going to have to pay rent and school fees and food and stuff from something else. So I would go for the lowest hanging conversion of finances and start to work on that. But you're not alone. Talk to people, get into groups, go to meetups that are virtual and chat to others. You might find that there's a partnership, or you can create a joint venture with somebody that creates a really effective business idea for you if you haven't got the whole picture. And Dr. Hanan's typing something now, so I'm very excited to find out what it is.
All right, so a lot of people are know you for teaching public speaking, and
just looking at the live comments, the chat here.
Yeah. So how can you? I'll type the question. So what we're
okay. So the last thing that was sent to me was how to create a new business lockdown.
Okay, so
and I've got nothing in the comments now.
Oh.
So I don't know if you want to send me anything else to speak on.
Yes, I do. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, right. Amazing conversation. Oh, that's very nice. Thank you, Noha. That's very kind of you. I'm taking your job now. You should be saying that. I should just sit quietly.
That's all right. You're amazing. We all love hearing from you, Dave. Go ahead. Can you hear me? Dave, I can't hear you. Okay, so let me write that down. Can't hear you. This is really cool. I've never done a show like this before. Can't hear you.
How
Dave.
To make public speaking? How to use public speaking to make the world want more of you? Is that the question?
Yes.
That question there, my question. Fantastic. Brilliant. Okay. Here's the thing about public speaking. It's got a number of different layers to it. First of all, your ability to communicate internally to yourself and your self-talk is where you start. Because if you can work out what's going on and you can handle the voices in your own head saying horrible things to you, and you can work that out, you know, your voice will say to you, you're fat, you're ugly, nobody wants you. And you're going to say, no, I'm okay, I'm cool, okay. And you get that to work out. Then you can work out what you do to talk to people. Now, communication is everything. Your ability to reach people, your ability to communicate effectively with people is the bottom line. Now, I just want to check before I answer this question. Do we have till, I can see the timer here says 42 minutes. Do we only have till 45? And then do we disappear? Or do I get to answer this question? Or should I finish it in 2 minutes? There's a question I'm going to throw across at you.
Keep going.
Dr. Hanan, so so we're finishing in 3 minutes.
No.
Is that correct?
No.
Right, okay. So public speaking is a martial art that's underserviced by most people. The reason for that is when you're at school, you're told to shut up rather than to express yourself. And so most people, like 90% of people, have a massive fear of public speaking. What that means ultimately is that, can you hear me?
Yes.
My microphone's still on.
Keep going.
Can you still hear me? Am I coming through?
Yes. I can hear you. There we go.
Yes, I'll still talk. So I was talking about public speaking. I'm sorry, I didn't see whether I could still speak or not because you didn't indicate. Okay, so your ability to communicate is a martial art of business. 1 minute, you're going to speak. Okay.
No, go.
For me to go. Okay.
This is like, I love
so your ability to communicate.
Yes, go ahead. I can hear you.
I'm lost now. I can only follow your typing.
Okay. Keep going. Keep going. It's okay. You hear me, Dave?
Okay, good. That's what I thought. My wife said nobody can hear you. I think she doesn't like me very much. After lockdown, that's not a surprise. Okay, so what I was saying was public speaking is a martial art. It's your ability to communicate with people effectively. Once you've mastered that, then you're able to talk to other people effectively too. Now, let's take, for instance, the challenge that we've had with this show. My fault, my laptop decided it didn't like me very much after working so hard on many other things, so it made it completely impossible for me to be able to get this program here to work my sound, so I couldn't hear anything. My ability to still communicate meant that effectively I could still talk. So that ability to talk meant that we still managed to make it happen. Otherwise, it would be a zero show. Now I know that every other guest has a much better show because they can hear what's going on, but we still managed to do something with this. So your ability to do public speaking and communication, the bottom line is that when you're able to understand what you need to say, and it goes back to emotional intelligence, it's about understanding what you want to say to people, understanding on the other side what they need to hear, what they want to hear, and then finding the best way of communicating it from you to them. That's ultimately what communication is. It's not what you say, it's about what they hear. So that's what you focus on when you do it. And I think, especially if you're starting a brand new business and you want to connect with people all around the world, the only thing you need to be able to concentrate on is exactly that point. What do they want for this whole experience? Now, my wife's just walked in with her laptop, so she was following it. So can you hear the sound there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm not live. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
So I can hear you when you start speaking now.
Oh, you can hear me now. Dave? Dave, can you hear me?
Okay, so I'll still keep talking. So with effect, public speaking for me was the most exciting thing that I think the world needs. Most people don't have it. They have a massive fear of it. And in order to be more effective, especially in these trying times, they need to be able to do it. I mean, what we've got now with this incredible show with Dr. Hanan is bringing out some incredible guests who do a better job than me of broadcasting and telling people what the world needs to do to be more effective, only comes because of the ability to articulate and share your concepts and your ideas. If you don't have a voice, then how are people going to know what you're worth? Paper qualifications aren't worth that much, especially in a lockdown. But if you can go out and shout and be counted and connect, people will know that it's worth their while working with you. And that makes you bankable. And that means that you do a better job than most people.
All right,
I'll go
Dave.
quiet again now. I think there's a slight delay in the broadcast as well.
So usually I give a quote from my book when we come to the end of the show. It's been amazing, and I think a lot of people took a lot of value. So as last words for the show, I can't really read.
So you can hear me. That's great.
Yeah.
Would you like to say something and then type a question and I'll answer that straight away?
Yeah. So usually, so instead of doing a quote, because obviously, Dave can't hear me, but I did write something in the chat. Hopefully, he'll read it soon. And that is, what is his view of what that word means, second chances, as a last word for the show. And it's been absolutely amazing. You'll hear me after, I guess I send you the recording about how I loved it, and we were able to get over this issue with technology. It's an absolute pleasure, Dave. And
typically, right at the end of today's show, my microphone and my headphones will start working, and then it would have been much easier to just have the conversation. But that's the nature of showbiz.
we are very flexible people, and that's how I guess is part of your success and a lot of people, successful people around the world, is that we take challenges, making it an
Okay,
opportunity.
what is your view on second chances as last
There
words for the show? I wondered when you'd say, Dave, we've had enough. You can stop speaking now. We're going to get rid of you and get a decent guest on. I think that the bottom line in second chances is this. When you're dead, it's done. There's the book.
Yeah.
So my view on second chances, right, it tells you everything you need to know about reinventing your mindset.
Yes. Yes, and that's crucial in.
I can't lip read when you cover yourself with a book. I'll just say, I think that.
Yeah, if you could just answer this one. There we go. There we go. What is your view on second chances as the last word for the show?
So here's what I'll do, because I'm not sure what you said then, but I'll just say what I was going to say, which is I think that everybody gets a second chance. You should always reinvent. I think that when you'll finally breathe your last breath, then that's the time to say no more second chances. But until then, everybody should be reinventing and everybody should be thinking about what they need to do. And what's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is maybe you won't be able to hear what you're broadcasting about. Maybe you're locked down inside your house. Maybe you'll have two dogs the size of horses running about all over the place like I do. And I can think of worse places to be. So I'm pretty happy.
Thank you so much, Dave. Absolutely a pleasure. I'm sure. I'm sure we'll this is definitely going to go down as the most interesting show that I have ever had, and the most a flow, I would imagine is the word I could use here, and I don't think of it going any other
You
way.
want second chances as last words for the show?
Yeah.
I thought I'd done that bit.
You did. I guess because of
on the
delay.
book or the thought of second chances, which one would you prefer?
No, just the word.
Okay.
It's just, yeah.
So here's my last words for the show.
Yes.
I think that becoming an author, being able to share your vision with the world, is one of the most important things that you're able to do. I think writing a book is a challenge for many people, but speaking isn't. Your ability to start broadcasting, posting, having a blog, doing a podcast, and
we lost Dave. Okay, so I guess he disconnected. So just to wrap up, thank you so much, Dave. Absolute pleasure. I wouldn't have had it any other way. It was very authentic, very real. You brought a lot of value to the show today. I really appreciate your time and your efforts. Join Dave on his LinkedIn and how he's very, very cool guy. I mean, he's very successful at what he does, but he's really down to earth and he loves helping others. He loves to support any way he can. He's an amazing individual. And just to wrap up, hopefully he'll come on again if you can hear me. But anyway, I do want to, recommend that you join me every week on Wednesday at the same time, 3:30, where we're going to bring a lot of amazing speakers. My next guest is a lady that I love dearly. She's amazing, Andrea Zoa. You're going to. Just like Dave, you're going to take away a lot of value, a lot of information, practical. And this is what the show is about, right? So to bring these expert stories that they can actually give you practical ideas and value that you could actually just right after the show, you could actually use it, take away and implement it, or use it in any food for thought, at least to think about as an opportunity instead of what we're going through as a challenge. So thank you so much. Thanks, Dave. I'll send you the recording. You'll hear me when I say thank you. Maybe you could see the show again live. And tune in next week and every Wednesday at 3:30. Take care.